All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today. We have Julianna Mccarthy, who is out in Los Angeles, and really excited to talk to her. I stumbled upon her Instagram page not too long ago and was just immediately, I saw the love and light that she was sharing with her audience, and both what she's doing as an author and also as a healer. And I just saw that her vibe was just really one of wanting to impact and uplift the audience. And I know we would have a fun conversation, and that's what we're going to have today. So I'm excited to introduce you guys to her. And Juliana, thank you for joining us today on another episode. And if you could share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, for those that don't already know you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all that good stuff.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm an astrologer and a healer and an author. I wrote a book called The Stars Within You, a modern guide to astrology that's really taken off around the world, which is exciting. And then I have a Instagram page, Ethereal Culture, and a website, Ethereal Culture, where I share updates about the new and full moon and the astrology of the month and just general inspiration spiritually around what's happening astrologically and what's happening for us internally and externally in the collective and within ourselves.
I love it. I love it. So I'm interested to know for you, your journey at the beginning. I'm always curious to know, because I could sense immediately like a mix between, just being an author and the astrology and your, spirituality and being a healer. And for you, were you one of the kids that, I always am fascinated how little kids, when we first come into this earth, like we all know that we're just these little unconditional, loving little beings. And then a lot of us, as we get older and people start telling us, you have to be more serious, stop playing around, having so much fun and all of these things. We have to remember as we get older that, who and what we truly are. So for you, like your light bulb moment, when you just kind of started becoming aware of the things that you obviously, become aware of now, how did that look for you? Or was you just get to evolve without anyone telling you that you couldn't from an early age?
Yeah, well, I was a seeker at a young age, and I definitely was a sensitive child and very tuned into energies and magic and different dimensions. And I remember even in high school realizing there were multiple dimensions other than these, and I was really fascinated with theoretical physics and quantum physics because I was interested in anything I could learn that sort of spoke to the nature of reality. I was just really interested in why are we here? What's the purpose? What is this earth? And how does reality change according to our perception? And my parents and grandparents were Christian Scientists, which is not Scientology, by the way, but it's I always say it's like the Buddhism of Christianity, but it's all about kind of mind over matter and how to think about material reality, not as the ultimate reality, but, going beyond that and redefining God as love and spirit and truth and not, a man in the sky or, somebody who's capable of wrath or punishment. And somebody who's not personified, but something that's all pervasive, that's within us, that we reflect, that's, God is love is the sort of main premise of Christian Science. So I did grow up sort of being asked to question reality or to think about spirituality in deeper ways than the status quo. And then as I got older, I started to learn really quickly that the things we were taught to pursue, like success or, even relationships or family, they don't really bring lasting happiness, or at least they didn't for me. And I just wanted something deeper. I wanted to understand how to sort of attain lasting contentment or deeper peace. And I ended up seeing a Buddhist therapist on the Upper West Side named Bernie Weitzman, who became one of my mentors. He's now in his 80s. And he turned me on to Buddhism. And I got pretty deep into Buddhism and ended up moving to a Buddhist retreat center in Vermont and really immersing myself in the practice and study of Tibetan Buddhism and becoming a Vajrayana practitioner and even taking a teacher and making vows to a teacher and making the Bodhisattva vow. And through that experience of really immersing myself in that live and practice environment, I just started orienting my life and my being to how can I be of most benefit to all beings? How can I be of most benefit to all beings? It was like a question that was pervasive throughout my day until it just became part of my DNA and just became part of my worldview, or the way that I perceived the world or went about my life. And I always say it was like desperation. People are like, oh, that's amazing that you left your life and went and studied Buddhism and spirituality. And I'm like, well, you would have too if you were desperate enough. And so I think my my kind of status quo was to be pretty miserable, which ended up leading to my desperation that led to my seeking further, or dedicating my life to spiritual seeking. And the first time I did a month-long retreat, it was called a Datun. It really freaking changed my life. It was like, oh, I can experience deep peace, and I can kind of connect to total strangers and feel the profound connection between each of us. And, the turning of a leaf was fascinating. Little ants and geese walking by became like endlessly fascinating. And I remember calling Bernie saying, I'm healed. It worked. And he's like, you should know this feeling will pass. And I was like, really? And it did, and then I was like, all right, now my life is going to become dedicated to living this way all the time. Like, how can I maintain this feeling of equanimity and peace and deep interconnection all the time, and not just when I leave my life and go into the mountains, without cell phones or my normal stressors or triggers? Like, how can I feel this way all the time? And so then I ended up moving to the Buddhist Retreat Center in that pursuit. And it just, it continued from there. But somewhere in that area, I guess, was my aha moment, or a series of aha moments.
I love it. You just said so many things that inspire me right there, even from the little ants crawling around and being fascinated with the leaves. What you just described is just pure presence. And and your mentor, Bernie, reminding you that, being in pure presence like that is only for all of us in the moment. And so, of course, it will pass, because you're probably going to, as part of your human experience, have other moments of fears, doubts, worries, anxieties, and then you'll be back in pure presence again. And then you'll have momentum carry you to moments of happiness, joy, bliss, euphoria, and everything in between, which is a beautiful part of the human experience. The fact that you were able to feel that and, realize, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And it wasn't because of some like crazy external event, like you were just enjoying, and observing little critters and doing things. That inspired me a lot. Way before that, when you said, I love how you mentioned your upbringing and the way you describe basically the whole teaching. And it's cool that your family was introduced you to this, because you basically were taught in that all is love, that's who and what we truly are. And that's what I appreciate most about my upbringing as well, is even though it was rooted in more of organized religion, where there was also a mix of the control factor, or the, if you don't do these things, then you can go to hell, and these things, which always a part of me that never really sat with me, because, the loving in every spiritual, in every religion and every spiritual, teaching out there, you'll find parts of it that are talking about all is love, and that we are connected, and that we are one. And that always feels good. I always say that when you hear truth, you can feel it. It just resonates like on the inside. And then when you hear things that you can tell were someone, writing something or creating something to try to control or manipulate, that doesn't sit well with us. People still choose to go along with it, teach their own. It's still a choice. But I love how you describe that, because you're open to, going to experience something like what you did. And that's awesome. So how did you go from that point to wanting to go or to wanting to like write books and to heal? Like, how did that journey strengthen? Because I always find it fascinating where, we have this personal awareness, it just impacts our life so much. And then for some, they, like you decide that you want to share this and impact other people. And you even mentioned that when you were just sharing that your life became about how can you help improve the lives of others. Is that something that you just, because you were so excited for what you become aware of for you, you just had to let it flow out and help other people?
I mean, no, I don't think I was like, oh, I figured something out, you guys should listen to me. I don't think I ever have felt that way, and I don't feel that way now. But I think what happened was I had been practicing astrology since I was 18 years old, and I just loved it. And, I would work with friends and read their charts, and friends and new boyfriends and new crushes and whatever. And people were having like kind of profound experiences of like self-realization and just feeling the profundity of, holy crap, this is real. Like I actually am reflected in the stars. Like this just blew apart my whole like atheist worldview or whatever, my whole like logical scientific worldview, and but it was moving for people, and it was super helpful for people. Oops, there we go. And so I just loved it. And I was working as a book editor for many years, and decided that I needed to do more creative work. I was living in Boulder, Colorado. It was so beautiful outside every day. And I was in a cubicle that was pretty dark, every day. And I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I did it for like 10 years or something. And I finally was like, well, what do I really want to do? And the answer was, I really want to be an astrologer. Like, that's what I enjoy doing. That's what I love doing. And I did this Ho'oponopono ceremony where you like write down your intention of what you want to manifest. And I wrote down, I want to be an astrologer. And when the ceremony ended after about 4 or 5 hours, I turned my phone back on, and I had all these messages from people that were either booking an astrology reading, and then one that was like, we would like you to write monthly articles for our company. It was Regime de Fleur, based out of Los Angeles. Astrology articles. And I was like, whoa, that's like interesting timing that you all thought of me for astrology right in this period of time when I'm calling it in. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to do this, and it wasn't like I have something to offer the world. It was more like, I want to do this because this will be fun and creative and expressive. And astrology is what helps me understand the world. And my whole philosophy and business model has just been, if it makes my heart feel something, share it, and what I'm sharing is really what's helping me make sense of what I'm feeling and what's happening around me. If you know anything about astrology, my moon is Aquarius. So whatever I feel does not feel separate from the collective. And I'm very connected to the collective energies. And so as a sensitive being, astrology is just like helps me understand these like chaotic, nonsensical events. And, the chaos of whatever I'm feeling, whatever the world is experiencing, is suddenly like this arc of myth, this arc of meaning, that helps me understand why this is happening and where we're potentially going with it, and how I can make best use of these opportunities instead of seeing them as, nihilistic doom or despair, which is why I think in the Trump era, astrology has become so popular, because it's like been hard at times to not feel the sort of impending doom or despair of these times for many people. I know some people think he's great. I don't want to exclude them from the conversation, but I think many people have felt the doom and despair of these times, and just have been really comforted in seeing, okay, so there's an arc, and this is part of a purification, and this is part of us learning to sort of heal the divisiveness, and come into a more enlightened society. And then fast forward, 9 months after, I'm like, I have my website up, I have my Instagram going, I'm writing these articles. A book publisher approached me and asked me to author a book on astrology. And I was pretty blown away by that, because I hadn't been doing it for that long, and it was growing so quickly that I was like, all right, I need to chill and just like stay right here for the next year. I can't really grow any faster than this. And then I get the email that's like, will you author a book on astrology? And I was like, whoa. And it so happened that my astrology teacher, who had died really young in his 40s, it was his vision to write an astrology book to help bring astrology into mainstream culture for this new paradigm that was supposed to begin now in 2020. And I was like, what are the chances that this guy, wanted to do this, that my mentor, my teacher in the realm of astrology, who I was so close with, wanted to do this, and fulfill this vision, wasn't able to because he died. And now I'm being asked to write the book that was part of his vision, you know? And I was like, I can't say no to this. I was like, I don't even know if I can do this, but I can't say no to this, you know? And so I said yes, and I put the proposal together. And you know, I studied writing at Sarah Lawrence, and I was a book editor for many years. So in a way, this was a familiar world for me to think of how to write a book and to write a book and to piece it together. And it really channeled through me intensely, and I wrote it fairly quickly. And it's, you know, it doesn't really make sense when I look back on it and I see the final product. I'm like, how did I write this so quickly, you know? And how did I even pull this off? It just feels a little miraculous. But there was some combination of auspicious synchronicities and channeling and, you know, dedication and consistency and work ethic, I guess. But it still feels like a miracle to me. And there was a long period I couldn't pick the book up because I'm a Virgo and I find mistakes, and I'm an editor, and I was like, I can't even look, because if I find a mistake, I'm going to freak out. But I'm starting to get more comfortable with the whole idea, and I get letters like every day about it, just from people saying how much it's moved them and influenced their lives. And it feels really, I feel honored that to have been the vessel for this project, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. What an awesome story. And you said multiple things there that inspired me. I'm going to share with the audience. What's the title of your book for everybody, so that they...
It's called The Stars Within You, A Modern Guide to Astrology.
Awesome. You guys will be able to find all of Juliana's links and connections. You'll be able to connect with her. Definitely connect with her on Instagram. And then she has a page specifically for, is it specific for your book, or is it just as your stuff that you do as an author? You have a separate, for astrology, separate astrology page.
Yeah, I have, well, etherealculture.com is my website, and then thestarswithinyou.com is the book website, but all the book stuff's on Ethereal Culture too, so just go there, etherealculture.com.
You guys see the links. When this comes out, you guys will see the links. For you guys live, just click on Juliana's page and go to her page. So I have to share multiple things that you inspire me to share right there. And first, which is so inspiring and everybody can be excited about for their own lives, is how Juliana demonstrated the synchronicities of life that can find us when our frequency is ready to receive whatever it is that is going to be, you know, where we're headed on our journey. And so it's like, as soon as Juliana got her like frequency solid as far as this is what I want to do, and there was like an excitement and she was aligned with doing it, then all of a sudden, I mean, it doesn't always happen that fast, which is awesome that it can, but to be able to turn on her phone and already see the wheels in motion, like, just, I call those like winks from the universe, like, you're going the direction now. And then she also mentioned, combined with her, you know, her work ethic and just flowing lots of energy. When it comes to manifesting anything, you know, where our attention goes is where energy flows. And the longer we flow energy any direction, soon we'll see the manifestations. And what a lot of us do, and this ties into the next thing you inspired me, because you mentioned, you know, Trump, and how there's been a lot of, you know, rough energy throughout the whole presidency. Here's what's interesting about that, and also why I love what you're doing with astrology and helping people understand why certain things are happening, which could allow people to slow down negative momentum and speed up, you know, momentum that they would like to have. Because once people kind of have some clarity as far as, okay, here's some things that can help me understand more why I see what I see, or why what's going on, that can give people peace and calm, which obviously is a change from being anxious, worried, frustrated, not having answers, you know, can make us all anxious if we're trying to figure it out. And so I love that. But the beautiful thing about whether it be the Trump presidency or anything that might be a really challenging time period in our lives, or just for humanity, is it sparks desires for something different for all of us. So everybody out there listening, we've all had challenging times in our life. And, you know, what those did is it made us desire more than anything else the opposite of that, you know, whatever it is that wasn't that. And what a lot of people do, unfortunately, just not being aware that, you know, if you keep focusing on the challenges and keep putting energy into that, again, where attention goes, energy flows, and flowing up energy at challenges, you're going to see more manifested challenges, because that's where all your focus is, versus saying, okay, these challenges were challenging in the moment of humans. So, you know, if I look at something that 100 out of 100 of us would be like, that's terrible, it's miserable, obviously it's not going to feel good in the moment when we're looking at it that way. And at the same time, if we can say, well, this is how I would like things to be, and then start focusing attention on energy on that, and doing what we can do with what we have from where we are, might not be much more than just being open to receiving, ideas or synchronicities of people coming into our life, or, whatever it might be. Then we can start flowing momentum towards the things that we would like to see for humanity or for ourselves. And that's anytime someone mentions anything with the presidency, I like to just help us remember these things, because any challenges can just help us create what we really want to get to. Without the challenges, we really wouldn't have as strong of a desire to create anything in life. So they are actually beneficial for us,
Yeah. And we have to be present with all that is, and so as I always say, this presidency has really helped extract the underbelly of humanity and just show us what is, like, what's lurking underneath, the corner, like what's lurking in the corners that we may not have been conscious of, not all of us at least, and so it's like, okay, so this is where we are as a collective, and we have a way further to go than some of us thought, and it's an opportunity to, like, really open our hearts to what is, and make peace within ourselves and find our anchors within ourselves, no matter what's happening around us. It's almost like a forced awakening, if that makes sense.
For sure, for sure. No, it's definitely it's I mean, the great news now, I love living in 2020, because we're also, with technology, like, look what we're doing right now. Like, we're streaming this right now in like 6 or 7 different places, whether you're aware or not. Like, it's so people can watch it live, and we could connect and, like, help each other and share inspiration. And there's so many, positives to being alive in 2020, and they're only increasing. And so for those of us that choose to use the challenges as fuel, and it's great. I love what you just said. Like, if, we might not have even realized that there was some of the things going on, and now we do. So, either ourselves or someone else definitely, will lead, a charge to wanting to create something different. And if you're inspired to participate. The good news for us is there's 7.7 billion of us here. So we don't all have to take the same, like, cause as our own. If it's not something that is, like, really, drawing your energy towards it, there's probably something else that is, which we can all inspire each other and help each other. But no, I love being alive right now, because we can, create, whatever it is that we choose to create. And we have the technology and enough humans like you, Juliana, on the planet doing your part to inspire and uplift, to feed off of each other. So I appreciate this time. So question for you. Right now, we're at the beginning of 2020. What are you excited about right now? Like, what's going on in the world of Juliana this year?
Wow, there's a lot going on. And I don't know if you know this, but astrologically, we're in the midst of a big paradigm shift. We're beginning a whole new age in humanity this year. And Sunday, it's funny we're talking this week, but Sunday was like the big Saturn-Pluto conjunction that astrologers have been anticipating for so long. And I've spent many years thinking about, like, what is this going to feel like? And now I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like. It's like, I was excited about it, but now that we're in it, it's really intense. But it also is, it's exciting through the intensity, because I do feel this, like, profound rebirth energy. And while it's clearly, there's so much ramping up in the collective. We have Australia on fire, and earthquakes, and a volcano erupting. There was almost a war in Iran. There's so much ramping up in the political sphere in the US. There's so much freaking happening. It's like, oh yeah, well, this is what we thought would happen. It's like a lot of stuff is ramping up right now. But what I am surprised by, or what I didn't really anticipate, is what's happening on a more personal level, where I really feel myself and others having profound breakthroughs in around the places they've been the most stuck, around their deepest traumas or their deepest internal struggles. And it feels like suddenly, even though it's intense, I don't know if I can curse, but it's intense as F, I'll just say that.
We can curse as much as we want. I just have to tell Apple one way or the other what it is or not. So it doesn't change.
I'll try not to, but so even though it's intense, really intense right now, what I keep resoundingly hearing from people, from clients, from friends, from myself even, is, even though this is intense and painful, I feel like I can meet this. You know, I feel like I can break through this. I feel like I'm finally getting something that I couldn't get before. And it required me to go all the way in. It required me to kind of get to that place of, wow, this is what my trauma all the way feels like. This is what my pain all the way feels like. This is the last cellar door I never opened. You know, I thought I'd opened, I was pretending like it was open, but holy moly, it was not open. And, you know, and there have been points where of real intensity for me and people around me, but there's also what I feel like 2020 holds is this much richer emotional maturation, spiritual maturation, and possibility for a different, higher quality kind of awakening. You know, that what didn't feel possible before, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. And coming, from you, how you just spoke that and how I felt that, and I'm sure how the audience felt that, is that's where your attention and your energy is. And that's what you're affirming. And that's where the direction that you see humanity going. And so you're going to continue to attract more energies of like frequency around you that also affirm that. Because I would affirm the same thing. And, I'm just excited for me, the reason why I have conversations like these that I would want to have with you anyway, and I'm just happy that we're able to record and share it so that it can impact more people, is these type of conversations help the light bulb switch on as far as, we're not separate. All of us have the capability as having this same, non-physical energy flowing through us, call it God, universe, love, spirit, all that is, source energy, whatever you want to call it. The force was one of my guests called it, like the Jedi a couple shows ago. So whatever we want to call this, that energy is present in all of us, makes our heart beat, helps us breathe, all of the things that we're not controlling, has the planets in orbit, all of the things. So knowing that that's the case and we're all flowing that through our unique life experiences, we can be really excited to, ask ourselves, and I love you've done it a few times in this episode, just mentioned how you ask powerful questions and you're just open to receive the answers. And whether they come immediately, which is awesome, it's possible for any of us, or if they come, a few days or a few weeks or however long later, they're going to come, and we can all be very confident in that. And then when they do, we can all know that, just like Juliana has all the capability in the world to flow that energy through her life experiences and write a book, an awesome book, and do the things that she's doing. You out there listening have something else that you're excited about, or that you'll ask questions like, ooh, this is something that I feel really drawn to. And then the same energy is flowing through you, just through your life experience, which makes it unique, which makes it just as awesome and just as impactful for any of the rest of us that experience it. So that's what I see for humanity, is helping more light bulbs switch on, that all of us can be doing, have anything. There's no special breed of human on this earth. We're all just as capable, just as worthy, just as enough.
Oh, yeah.
And just being excited to see what each other creates and getting to experience what each other creates. I was never inspired to create the smartphone or the MacBook or anything like that, but I'm super excited to use it and everything else that comes out. So yeah, I love what you said there, because, the more of us that can affirm, the direction that we're excited for this world to go, knowing that challenges are challenging, and we're not turning a blind eye to them. We're just seeing them, whatever we're inspired to do to help, slow the momentum down of the challenges is awesome. And at the same time, helping, inspire and uplift the momentum going in the direction that we would like to see while we're all here on this earth. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And, on that point, wow, this is what my trauma all the way feels like. This is what my pain all the way feels like. This is the last cellar door I never opened. I thought I'd opened, I was pretending like it was open, but holy moly, it was not open. And, and there have been points where of real intensity for me and people around me, but there's also what I feel like 2020 holds is this much richer emotional maturation, spiritual maturation, and possibility for a different, higher quality kind of awakening. That what didn't feel possible before. To continue that point, we have no idea what karmic ripple effect our little acts of kindness will have. It's like we're not all here to invent something or write a book. It's like you know, even one small act of kindness in our day, like making eye contact with someone or expressing appreciation for somebody in a small way, like we have no idea what ripple effect that will have, you know. And I think about this story a lot that somebody told me where there was a man whose uncle was in the Vietnam War, and he was really hurt, and he was going to die, and he was alone in the woods, and his enemy, someone from the opposing side, saved his life, you know, and nobody was around. You know, it was an anonymous act, and the guy saved his life, then left. He didn't know his name. He never found out. No one knew about that act except for those two men. And later on, the man who was saved told his nephew that story when he was a child. And it impacted him so much that it inspired him as an adult to start a nonprofit that ended up saving hundreds of thousands of lives. You know, so to me, that's an example of how one single, like, anonymous act of kindness can have this like profound ripple effect that we don't even know about, you know. So it's not about all of us like writing the book, or, you know, we all have different offerings. We, you know, for some of us, it's being an amazing parent. You know, for some of us, it's being kind to everyone throughout the day. For some of us, it's really like learning how to master being kind and loving and forgiving to our inner child, you know. And each of those things, you know, it has a profound effect on the whole collective. And so I just want to emphasize that we don't all have to do something huge to impact this whole collective shift.
I love that. Such a great story, and just a great awareness for all of us, a great reminder for sure. And I want to share, in addition to that, that all of that can only be done whether you're writing a book or telling a story that impacts someone or giving someone a smile or a hug or whatever it is, or just sending out a silent blessing to whoever may be around or whoever you want to send it to, can only happen in the moment. And because of that, it gives me a lot of peace and makes life way simpler than trying to, you know, judge ourselves as far as, am I being a good person, or am I being a good husband, or am I being a good wife, or am I being a good sister, brother, or coworker, or friend, or whatever it is. You can only do any of those things in this moment right here and now, and then the next moment and the next moment, and none of these future moments are guaranteed to any of us. So if you are right now controlling the only thing that any of us can control, which is what's my vibe, what's my frequency, what's my energy that I'm bringing to this moment here and now, if it's one of, you know, peace, contentment, happiness, joy, whatever it is, something that, you know, feels good to you, you're like, okay, this is a place that I'm feeling really good. Now you're very capable of going out and, you know, if you're standing next to someone, you know, on the street, getting ready to cross the street, can share a moment of laughter or joking, or you're just present in the moment. Like you're not going to be judging or condemning, because you can't do that from a place of feeling good. So you have to choose one. So if you want to go be judgmental and condemning, not saying you're right or wrong for doing that, just saying that there's no way to have the frequency of happy or joy and be judging and condemning at the same time. Our energy is going to move towards the judgment and the condemnation. And that just doesn't feel good to any of us. So make life super simple and just ask yourself, you know, in this moment now, you know, the question I like to ask myself, if I ever like notice, because this is the way I look at life, Juliana, even if I'm witnessing something in the world that I don't like to see, I ask myself, how has my vibration been? How's my frequency been leading up to that event that I'm even witnessing? So if there's an argument or something, which this is like rarely, like someone asked me, like I was hanging out with a friend a few weeks ago, and they were like, and I'm not saying this to say there's anything special about me. I'm just hyper aware of my right now momentum and my energy. And if it's not how I like it to be, my only priority on earth is allowing myself to return back to love, return back to peace and content, because that's how I like to live, and I'm just aware of it. So back what used to take me maybe minutes, hours, or possibly even days to catch negative momentum, because it just was a blind spot, which you said something earlier in the episode, which I love, which blind spots, you know, are blind. We can't do anything about them until they become, you know, awareness, conscious of them. And then now they're in the light, and now we have a choice, which is the reason that I do everything. But my point with all of that is, once we can really just be aware of what's my present moment, you know, vibration, and, you know, we can feel good about that, like just to ask ourselves, is this something I feel good about? Now you can be super confident in doing anything that you're doing. Like you have an important phone call to make, that's a really good energy to make that phone call in, whether you're working or calling a friend or a family member, or, you know, just going out into the world. I just like going out into the world in a good vibe, because I know it's going to be way more fun while I'm out there. People are going to enjoy being around me. I'm going to enjoy being around them. And you never know what synchronicities could happen while you're out there, who you help, who you meet. Like I met some of the coolest people I've ever met in life, just going out of the house one day, just in a good mood. And then all of a sudden you're meeting someone that you didn't even know existed 5 seconds ago. And so you inspired all of that. But yeah, I really just like to encourage people just to simplify life and just control the only thing that you really, any of us can control, which is what's my vibe here in the moment. And then let everything else reflect from that, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself and just allow yourself to feel whatever you feel, and with love and acceptance, and let it I always say, invite your demons to tea as your honored guests, you know.
That's awesome.
That came from my Buddhist training, but it's such a beautiful metaphor for me. It's like, okay, I feel anger right now. I'm going to invite the anger to tea as my honored guest. You know, like what message do you have for me? What wisdom do you have? How have you been protecting me? Am I ready to release you now? You know, have you served your purpose? Are you no longer serving your purpose? So it's not like, oh, I'm angry, I'm going to go punch someone, or I'm angry and I'm shaming myself for being angry. It's just like, okay, anger is wisdom. What is the wisdom here? You know, everything is wisdom if we allow for it. So the awareness and being kind to ourselves, it's so simple, but that will change the world if we're all practicing that. Oh my God, it'd be a totally different world.
And what you were saying, even events that, like, sometimes we think something's going to happen in our lives, whether it be, you know, we're supposed to meet someone, you know, maybe you got stood up on like a date or something, and you're like, why did that happen? Like, I love asking the question of what else is there for me to see or experience, or there's something else going on. If you ever like miss a flight or like running late or just anything, there's like things at work that we can't see. And if we can allow ourselves to not let that knock us totally out of the game, we could have some really cool synchronicities find us if we treat life as like an adventure movie, and like we don't need to have the whole plot figured out right here and now, but just know that there's something that, even if right now looks bleak, there's something coming in the next scene that could be so awesome if we allow it to be. Or we can just have the whole movie be bleak. I mean, it's up to us. It's a choice.
I love that.
So I asked this to everybody, and I'm going to ask you, you've been doing it the whole time and sharing the whole time, but anything that you just really want the audience to know whenever they hear this, you know, it could be about any subject, it could be about astrology or just anything, that whenever they hear this, you feel like it will make an impact for them to be aware of, for them in their lives.
Just anything, like if anything
Whatever
at all.
pours out of you first. It doesn't matter what. Any subject on earth.
Okay. Well, I would say I think the big thing that has been up for me lately is listening and defaulting to emptiness. So it's like I've noticed lately, and astrologically it's reflected, you know, we had Jupiter in Sag for a whole year, and which has been ramping up our belief systems. It's like, this is what I believe, this is what I believe, you know, and we're really like fighting with each other a lot right now, and really feeling tension, like patterns of tension in our bodies because of these clinging to our beliefs. And so my New Year's resolution is to listen more, you know, is to just, when I notice myself like tightening because someone believes something that I know isn't true, you know, I know, it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, my body is tensing. What happens if I relax my body and just open and listen, you know, and ask questions for clarification and get curious about where this person is coming from, instead of being so quick to condemn or to, you know, express my own rigid belief, you know. And my mentor Bernie once said to me, belief in anything creates a pattern of tension in the body. And so if you could just, I've been, as an exploration for many years, I've been noticing when I believe something, what happens. And it's like, oh, pattern of tension, believing absolutely anything. And so what happens if I can default to emptiness of like, I actually know nothing. That's all I know, is that I know nothing, you know, and then just open to listening and get curious about the other person. And that's the shift we're about to have in the spring. The North Node moves into Gemini, which is all about the enlightened qualities of Gemini, which have to do with curiosity and listening. And so maybe that is what I would say.
I love that. Okay. Everything you say is going to inspire me to share something with the audience. Because what I just heard from how you just described that is just knowing that, because all that a belief is for any of us is a thought that we've thought over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then you think anything enough times, that becomes your story. And whatever stories that we tell about life, we get to keep those stories, because that's what's going to play out repeatedly. So what I heard from your mentor when he said that, that any belief causes tension, it's just knowing that there's always possibility for, even if you're saying this is the way this is, there's always possibility for it to also be this way. And so, you can kind of just release your, if someone has something they believe that because they've thought this so many times that is different than, what I've thought, then yeah, that would cause tension. And even the things that, I wouldn't even call them beliefs, I would call them knowings. Like, for instance, knowing that all of us are this source energy that is, manifested here in physical form, but still that non-physical energy is who we truly are. That's more than a belief for me. That's just a knowing. Like, that's just
Mm-hmm.
what it was. So I love what you said, because I never, and even saying never, there's always possibility. And I always make sure I like to keep that open whenever someone has something that they're saying is so like solid, even if I know that story isn't one that they really want to see come true. And especially if someone, because I just look at life as a movie and we're all the star of our own individual movie. So if someone is like affirming something because it's a belief for them that they just don't like to see they wouldn't want to see on the screen, I'm like, can we leave? I actually said this, I said this on a recent podcast and just asked the guests to, because they were affirming because of a hereditary illness hereditary disease that was, through, generations of their family, that they were affirming that was going to be a part of their experience because it already kind of has started. And I just asked, can we affirm can we leave open the possibility of you having a healthy life experience and this not being a part of your experience? I just want to leave it open to the possibility, because even that open door can allow us to start to think, what if I could live a healthy life and that wasn't a part of my experience? Now we can start to see it and start to build momentum towards that. And you guys have no idea what that does for our cells on the inside when you're telling them, as your body creates a few million new cells right now, and you're telling them that they're healthy and that they're wellness, and that's the way it is, that's the way that they will reflect out. And we have so much power when it comes to that.
Yeah, I love what you said about the difference between belief and knowing, so it's like belief kind of comes from the brain and knowing kind of comes from the gut or the heart, and so I would say, like, the one thing I truly believe is, like, everything is love, and we're all, we're all one, we're all interconnected. And so I'm not saying, like, be complacent or, don't be involved in activism or whatever. It comes from that deeper knowing of love and oneness. It's like, no, inspired action does arise, from that deeper knowing. But we're not going to, like, convert anyone to love and oneness if we're, like, yelling our rigid beliefs at them, So that thought is more coming from this place of how can we open to more love and interconnection in the physical, that reflects that deeper knowing. But I love what you said. It's, like, so true that our external reality does reflect, how we're holding our beliefs within ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For all of you out there, be the example of the person, for the people in your life that is sharing stories about how life is that you want to see come true for your movie that you're the star of, you're the producer, you're the director. And just by being that example, then you can help the people around you as they're maybe sharing stories of, this is the way that this is the way that this is. And it's just, that's the way it is for sure. That's the way that we're saying that it is for us. So we can, tell it a new way if we want to. So the best way to help anyone, if we want to help people in our lives or just humanity, period, the collective, is to share the story that we want to see come true and to embody that and to live that and have that be our energy. And then you'll be able to impact the people around, versus what Juliana was just saying, how can't really tell someone, no, you need to do it this way, or this is wrong. Like, I've never heard of that working. Like, you can't just go in and make choices, like free will and choice. It's really a thing. And that's like what I support more than anything, is helping present moment awareness so that everybody can have now the choice and I encourage everybody to make whatever choice that you want to make for you, because even if you choose to be really mean and like go body slam or slap the heck out of somebody, just don't be surprised when there's a energy that rolls back into you, some synchronicities that you really don't want to enjoy, whether it be a slap back or a loss of freedom, or, I mean, it just doesn't surprise me when, things happen. It's just a matter of, I love for people to be aware so that you can choose maybe to do something where a match to that energy is cool synchronicities that you actually do want to see. And then you can actually have an enjoyable time here in the moments that are promised, which are only right now. So
Love that.
Awesome conversation. I appreciate you, Juliana. And if there's anything else that you want to share with the audience before you go, or promote to them, please do. But you're awesome. I've had a lot of fun.
You're awesome. I'm so happy to meet you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even talking to my headphones again. Keep doing that. You still can hear me though.
Yeah, I could hear you. Yeah, I could hear you just fine. Yeah. I have, if in terms of promotion, I do have a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/astrologer, where I post videos regularly if anyone's interested in that. Or otherwise, I do my articles on ethereal culture and Instagram and my website. And again, my book is The Stars Within You, which you can get pretty much anywhere now.
Awesome.
Platform.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really happy that we connected, and you guys out there, definitely share this episode with everyone and anyone that you're inspired to share it with. I know it will impact them, and they'll enjoy feeling Juliana's awesome love and light that she shared throughout this episode. And I'm just excited for all of us. Happy New Year to you all. Juliana, I've decided to say that I think all year, because I don't see when it's like the cutoff date. Like if you could say like the 2nd and the 3rd, like why can't I say on the 15th? So I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, happy new paradigm,
And I love what you're doing and the tools. Like what I love about astrology, and just I love about life period, is how the passion that you have for astrology has caused you to have more life experience with it than me and 99% of the people on the planet. And then we have things that we're like super, super passionate about, that we have more life experience than 99% of the people on the planet. And that's why collectively it's so awesome to share this planet, because we can just allow that passion to fuel us and creating things like your book and speaking about it. And I just love what, how you've described it, and what I've just become more and more aware of when it comes to astrology. Just gives people that peace to kind of have a better understanding of like what's going on in the universe and the planets, and how it affects them and how it applies to them. And then that gives more awareness, and that gives more power of choice, which is what I'm all for. So I love having these conversations, because I learn stuff all the time from you guys, and it's just really fun. So I appreciate you and what you're doing.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Definitely rate and review and subscribe if you're not already. Make it easier for people to find these beautiful episodes, and we'll keep sharing awesome humans with you guys like Juliana, and just having fun together. And just really excited to be on this planet with you all right now at this time in human history. And let's keep enjoying life and appreciating the moments that we all have. And even though we'll probably all live to be 100 or 200, we never know. So let's enjoy it right now. And I'll keep sending positive vibes to you guys always. And we'll talk to you soon on another episode. Have an amazing day whenever you hear this. Awesome. So much fun, Juliana. You're awesome.
So much fun. Thank you.